Hello, everybody. Welcome to Clash of the Correspondents. My name's James, and today we're joined by two. I say we. I always keep saying we. It's always me now, isn't it? I'm joined by two of our correspondents ahead of a big Monday night football game in game week 6. We are joined by Jack Toner, our Burnley correspondent, a turfy topper. How are you, Jack?
Very well, thank you.
Good man. And we're joined by Ricky Saunders at Ricky Saunders77 on Twitter, our Tottenham correspondent. How are you, Ricky?
All good, thank you very much, James.
Jack, did you pay £14.95 for that on Monday?
I didn't, but my dad did.
Was it worth it?
First 0-0 of the Premier League, wasn't it, this season?
The thing is, we all kind of knew that it would be, didn't we?
Yeah, it had to be, didn't it? It just had it written all over it.
What's happening at the moment? Because obviously that's first point on the board. It slowly feels like you're getting players back fit. Is everything all right in-house at the moment?
Yeah, I'm not too worried. I think there's quite a few people that are. We'd said it before that we were desperately short on numbers. But then having said that, like we've said, Dyche doesn't use a big squad. So the annoying thing is that the players that we were relying on, without losing Hendrick was a big loss because he was always fit. Gudmundsson and Brady on that right-hand side of midfield, I've got about 5 games a season in them together. So I think that's been a big loss. Ben Mee's been a huge loss. But I'd be confident once he gets back. He doesn't often get injured. So, yeah, I think once we sort the defence out and obviously, we've had 2 big. Dwight McNeil signed a new contract. Tarkowski's not left. So they're big bonuses. Not too concerned. And Dyche said it last night. We've played 3 of our games have been away from home, which I think it was the first season we came up under Dyche. We was absolutely awful away from home. It's something we've worked on and we've become better at, but it still doesn't help. I suppose you can argue that there isn't an advantage anymore with no fans being there. So
it always feels, from the outsider's point of view to myself, that when you're on a bad run, which you've not started well, that you very much instantly go back to basics attitude in terms of how you defend. Midfield 4 goes a bit deeper, etc., etc. You attack very much from wide areas. The attacks on Monday very much were from wide positions, etc. Is that what's happened?
I think so, and I think the commentator said it on Monday, we just lack that confidence. Puts the ball to the back post, goes to Chris Wood on his head, unmarked, hits the bar. 9 out of 10 times he puts them away. But when he's got that added pressure on his shoulders, you sort of do snatch at those sorts of chances. So we've had bad runs before and we've come out the other side of it. I'm glad we didn't drop all 3 points because we've got, Spurs, Chelsea, Brighton, Palace. We've got a sticky run. If we'd have gone through Spurs and then Chelsea, and you think, God, we still might not have a point after 6 or 7 games, so that would have been tough. But yeah, I'm not concerned yet for the entire season, but it's been a bit of a shaky start, put it that way.
I'll come back onto the attacking stuff because Chris Wood's still sitting in my team, mate. Ricky, have you recovered from Sunday, mate? No, me neither.
No. I'm lucky. I was working from home today, so I didn't have to see people and have to hide my embarrassment for those 3 goals in 8 minutes. It's what you come to expect with us at the minute, though. There's a couple of mistakes in the team, and we're going to concede a couple of goals. I didn't see that coming. But yeah, it's just where we're at the minute. I think defensively, we switched off. I think Mourinho said they weren't strong enough at the end, and they weren't clever enough at the end. And I think that's kind of summed up really what we missed at the end of that game. Well, in the game, and you probably know I'm going to say because I love the geezer, but a little bit of a Lamella, just to see out those last few minutes of a bit of shithousery. We weren't clever enough in the end. And that kind of hurts more than anything else, really, because we weren't outplayed at any point in that game, and we was just switched off and weren't clever.
Why do you think that is? Does that come down to? I mean, you're mentioning Lamelo's obviously he's the one player in the team that can really press from the front and stuff. But do you think there's a lack of leadership problems defensively?
Yeah, defensively, definitely. By far the best leader in that team is Dyer. He wasn't there. David and Alderweireld, they're both really, really quiet. during games generally, and they don't. I mean, they're really good players, but they don't shout and scream and lead. What's been really interesting is that the leadership has been kind of coming from the front. When we've had a lot of attacks that have broken down, generally the furthest man forward is Harry, and he's then marshalling people into positions. But he's not doing that for the defence. They need to do that for themselves, and they don't seem to be.
Interesting. What do you make of us at the moment, Jack? From a neutral
perspective? I think we tweeted
perspective,
actually halfway through the game and nearly put, if you had a decent defence, you could win the league. And I thought, no, I'll give them the moment. And the 3-0 up. And then I turned my phone's going. I was in the car and it was going beep beep, and I was like, what the? And I think it would have been. You look now and you think if Bale would have put that one home, it would have been a dream debut again to come back and like Ricky said, is that a bit of naivety? If it had been someone who did Bale need to, well, I suppose he was in the position and he needed to just slot it away. But if you could have just hung on to the game, which, you know, at 3-0 up after 20 minutes, you didn't really need to be doing. I've got to admit, I was quaking in my boots when you went 3-0 up. I thought, oh God, here we go. We've got you next week. But from a Burnley fan's point of view, a lot of them was quite worried about facing a top team. But I think it's what we need. I think at the moment, we're not playing great. We didn't want to drop points against West Brom, and I think it showed in a stalemate 0-0. I think going away to Spurs, you know, if we get beat 3-0, we're not going to be that disappointed. I think it's one of those, like we've always said, playing against the Burnley team, it's just a stumbling block for some of these bigger teams, and you don't really want to play us, even though we're on 1 point. Is it one of those that you think, do we even fancy playing an out of form Burnley?
I feel like I want to play you before Ben Mee's fit. Has he got any chance
definitely.
for Monday?
Don't think so. I think he said he was aiming for just after the international break, but I still think that was too soon. I don't really know what's wrong with him, and he's not mentioning much in press conferences, so whether he's closer than what he says, I'm not too sure.
He'll go straight in the team, won't he, as soon as he's fit?
There's certain players that think if they're playing well, they'd stay in, but I think it's too much to ask to keep Kevin Long in there. Especially with he's playing Tarkowski at the left side, so Tarkowski's out of position to compensate for Long. So as soon as it's back, Tarky slots back into the right-hand side, Ben Mee on the left.
So presumably, if Ben Mee doesn't make it Monday, that's 3 of your back 4 out of position with, I guess, Peters playing at right back with Barsdy's obviously unfortunately passed the COVID test.
Yeah. So, yeah, it would be. But he played well at right back the other day, Peters. I'm yet to see him play in net and up front, but apart from that, I've seen him play everywhere in midfield and defence, I think.
How do you think he would play against Heung-Min Son, Peters?
When you put it that way,
no. To be honest, I wasn't asking it like that. I just generally no. It's actually an interesting. It's an interesting point because obviously, as kind of seen by Son's goal on Sunday, Balbuena lets him step inside really easy. Actually, Peters, because he's being left-footed, might feel comfortable going in a little bit. It's interesting, so that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, he dealt with that really well actually on Monday, but obviously West Brom's firing power is not quite as good as Son's, but I don't know. Like you said, it might be if he's cutting inside. I used to slag him off as left back because obviously we started the other season with Taylor being first choice, but you got a niggle and Peters retained his place. But some games his positioning sense was awful. I was saying to my dad the other day, I said he's actually, when he's out of position and playing at left back, his positioning sense is better because he doesn't know where the hell he is. But yeah, might be that he can. But he was probably my man of the match, actually, last night. I thought he played really well.
Interesting. And Charlie Taylor, obviously, at left back, is a player we've spoken about a lot. I like. He's sitting in my squad. I don't intend to get rid. But then I look further afield at your fixtures, and I guess this is the mistake a lot of us are going to make, and we'll get proved wrong again. I look at a lot of your games coming up, and I think, can't see clean sheet, can't see clean sheet.
Yeah.
Do you just automatically think Mee comes back in and it gets sorted? And because you've spoken in the past to us about quite often you'll keep back-to-back clean sheets when you least expect it.
Yeah, it'll be these next 2 games, won't it? Spurs and Chelsea. Where
I'd bloody hope not, mate.
No, but that's the thing. You look at a lot of Pope's clean sheets last season and they weren't the conventional ones that you would have said. When I was on about rotating between 2 keepers, you wouldn't like it to be Pope because you can't always see where they're coming from. Yeah, I think it depends how far off Ben Mee is, and it depends sort of how our form is. Because if we hit a really bad bit of form, I think it might take a little bit more than just Ben Mee coming into the side. Because how we played on Monday wasn't just we were a bit shaky in defence. Our defensive side, we had enough to cope with West Brom. It was just those final passes, that last header, that we were just a little bit nervous about, and we just had a little bit too. It was a early 6-pointer. Really, you didn't want to lose it, and we needed to win it really. So I think it was just that pressure that's getting to us. So it might get a bit much if we keep going on and not picking up points.
Would you consider Taylor at 4.4?
He's not in my team. I've not got any.
I know he's not yet, but he's likely to go to 4.4.
Yeah, so I think, is it game week 10 or 11? Once we've played Everton and Arsenal, we've then got a run in of Villa, Wolves, Leeds, Sheffield United, Fulham. So at that point, you start to think, if Ben Mee's
to be honest, that's the point though, Jack. None of these fixtures sound particularly easy at the moment.
No, but they're not your Chelseas or your Spurs or City, is it? So
no, but then Chelsea and Spurs might be two of the weakest sides defensively in the league at the moment, which
yeah,
kind of coming on to Chris Wood, that's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, Tottenham and Chelsea next. All right, he's failed to score against West Brom. I agree with you. The header he hit the bar with, normally he scores that and doesn't think twice about it. But thinking about it, should we look beyond the fixtures and go, okay, look, Tottenham and Chelsea on paper from an attacking sense, not as bad as we might ordinarily think. And Wood's the main man, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Because Rodriguez is sort of getting back to fitness now. I don't think Barnes looks quite ready. So if anyone drops out, it'd be Barnes for Rodriguez. Wood's position's nailed on. He's safe. He looks fit. So yeah, like you said, it's not often that you'd probably go all these games and you'd have very little returns off Wood. And Chelsea are going to play but obviously Spurs will play more of an expansive game. So we will have chances, and I don't think he'll snatch at them the same against a big club because the pressure's not quite there the same. So yeah, I think if you've kept on to him so far, my advice would be to anyone holding on someone like Wood, depending on how your transfers are going. He wouldn't be the one that you'd say you need to get out, because performance-wise, we were better again on Monday. Both teams had the chances. We could have quite easily got beat, but we quite easily could have won. Draw was the fair result, but it was a more solid performance, and Dyche usually builds on performances like that.
So I'm thinking, Jack, at the moment of going Wood to Calvert-Lewin, 1 free transfer. I should hold on to Wood, should I?
I've got Calvert-Lewin and he's done me well so far this season. So
bottle job. What do you make of them at the moment, Ricky? Burnley?
I haven't seen a lot of them play this season so far. I think they've been a bit unlucky in some games. The injuries have affected them a lot, especially with Ben Mee. He's a very influential player, and any team's going to miss a player of that quality. Burnley, it's not the first time they've started the season slowly. The season you're in the Europa League, you had an awful start and you managed to pull it back. But they're a confidence team, and I think if they can, that point against West Brom will go a long way to get a bit of confidence. Now you've got some points on the board. Hopefully it doesn't worry too much for next week. But I don't expect them to be struggling. I think as soon as they get the players back, they'll be fine. Jeff Hendrick is definitely a miss. What happened there? Did it just contract end, didn't sign the new one?
Yeah, so we'd offered it, but we'd offered it too late. So I think once it had got near coronavirus and he'd got other offers from other clubs, that sort of stalled the season a bit. And when we'd wanted him to play and we'd offered him an extension, he's obviously got a little bit more money and a longer deal at Newcastle. Because everyone being fit, that's what a lot of Burnley fans are getting very sort of stressed out, saying, "Oh, we need a new centre half and we need a new right winger." But I don't know who we would sign, because when he's fit, Gudmundsson's first choice and he's our best winger, arguably at times better than McNeil. And when Ben Mee and C.O.T.C are fit, you wouldn't sign a centre half that keeps them out of the team. Look at Ben Gibson. So yeah, we are missing squad players, and Hendrick was versatile. He could play in midfield, play on the right. So definitely miss him. But I think we just offered him a contract far too late. If we'd have offered it him at the start of last season, he would have signed. But obviously, more money to Newcastle. I don't begrudge him the move, to be honest.
I just follow up, Jack, on obviously you haven't signed anybody, essentially. You bought
Dale Stevens.
Don't tell my fucking wife, will you? That's one for the old Planet FPL listeners. The new guys are not going to get that. But other than Dale Stevens, all right, you ain't spent any money. Could I say that, Jack? Is that that's the problem, isn't it? Was it money? Because the other thing is obviously he did hold on to Tarkovsky and stuff.
Yeah, well, we were in for Wilson at Liverpool supposedly, but I don't know whether the money there was the proposed Tarkowski money, whether we was playing with money that we didn't have. The chairman's come out and said that we're safe money wise. We're not going to be in the red after COVID, but Burnley have always kept it in the green. They don't want to be spending money that we don't have, because we could buy. I think Dyche has been kicking off, but he spent £50 million on Ben Gibson. He started he started one Premier League game for us, and he's now spat his dummy out and training on loan at Norwich. But we won't get the same money back for him. We're they may be saying, and there's the proposed takeover talks as well. There's reading between the lines that's saying that may be becoming a bit closer. There was a statement by the CEO the other day, and he'd said that as soon as they know anything, they'll sort of let the fans know. So I think there's been an approach. So whether the chairman didn't want to spend any money because he's looking to flog it, but we've notoriously not spent money every season. We've always spent what we've either got in transfer fees, like we sold Michael Keane, Andre Gray for collectively, 48 million, and we didn't spend all of that. So we've never been a spending club, so it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Do you think that will change if the ownership changes? Or is it just a case of taking better care of it? What do we think?
There's been a lot of fans going mad and saying, it's unforgivable that we've not spent any money. But I think you've got to be careful what you wish for. Brighton look a bit better this year. I'll give them that. But how much have they spent over the years? How much have Bournemouth spent a lot of money and they've gone down? So I think for us and the way Dyche plays, there's only so much money you can spend without putting yourself in a worse position than what you already are. And the Europa League, we bought Joe Hart, changed the dynamic of the goalkeepers, because Joe Hart was first choice with Tom Heaton and Nick Pope as understudies, all due to them being a bit injured. But then Ben Gibson, was he too good for a second choice centre half? And Dyche will play 4-4-2 regardless, so he's never going to change his formation. So if he's going to stick with the same 11 every week, week in, week out, how much can you spend on these reserve players?
Joe Hart. We really should talk about him, shouldn't we? Go on, Ricky,
He's that
quickly.
leadership you need.
Do
you know what? It's a fair shout, but then Hugo's a great goalkeeper, so I'm not going to put Joe Hart in goal who can't save toffee just because he shouts a lot. What do you make of him, Rick?
You broke up a little bit then, so I don't know what you said, but we can talk about him on Friday morning when he's let a couple in against Lasker.
He's not better than Gazaniga, is he?
No. And
I don't rate Gazaniga either, to put it mildly.
But
anyway.
I think Mourinho seems to rate him higher than Gazaniga. Lloris, it seems every season he gets a little injury and he's out for 4, 5, 6 games.
Oh, I'm worried about it this
year. And we're going to have Joe Hart. I'm petrified, mate. It's not great, is it?
Listen, we can't keep clean sheets now, mate. So be all down the bookies. Be down the bookies and lump on the opposition, mate. The problem with Hugo, Jack, just to let you know, is every now and again we turn up for an away game and it's like, where's Hugo? Oh, Hugo's got a virus. It could happen Monday night, mate. And I'd shit myself, honestly. Ricky, we must talk about Harry Kane, mate.
We must.
Why is he not in your FPL team? I think I want to know.
He was going to be this week. I've got the money had the money in the bank to do Jimenez to Kane, but it would have been another -4. That would have been a -8. I've taken hits every single week. I think I took 3 hits all last season, and I've taken probably about 5 already this season. As you can see, my rank isn't great. I haven't scored. I think it took me game week 3 to get 100 points. I wasn't going to mention that, but
now you've mentioned it.
Yeah, it's not great. I didn't get 100 points until game week 3. I think after the first 2 game weeks, I was on 65 points total. So it's not been great. But yeah, I just want to take another hit. I thought I had Son. If I bring in Kane, I'm going to have to make Kane captain, and I wanted the captaincy on Sonny. Which obviously it didn't really work out. It's another decision I've made this season that has gone badly. But I'm not gonna get Kane now. We've got a couple of good fixtures and we've got quite a tricky run. Everybody in my mini league got Kane, so I'm gonna go down the Aguero route and try and maybe steal a few points. But he is for all of my foolishness not getting him in. What a player! he's an 8, 9, and a 10 all rolled into one at the moment.
He looks different this season. He looks so much better.
And elaborate on that as the neutral, if you can, Jack.
Just seeing him coming deep, it's just, especially if you can get Bale on the other side and Son on the other. If Kane, because I've heard you mention it before about him coming deep and bringing other players into the game. And I'd seen you put a tweet saying Mourinho can never get that to work. And lo and behold, it's working great at the minute.
Yeah.
And that goal line tackle as well earlier on Saturday was phenomenal. You know, he just seems to take. He's been captain for a while, but he just seems this year that he's taken a little bit more ownership. You know, he's all over the pitch. He's setting up as many goals as he is scoring, which hasn't really been his game that much. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Prior to this season,
the irony is he's not captain. Everybody thinks he is. He's not. Hugo's captain.
Oh yes, yeah.
But you look at the outfield players, and it's an assumption. Yeah, I mean, he's the outfield captain. There's no real doubt about it. What do you think about this change, Ricky? And is it something that's been going on for a very long time and not a lot of people have noticed?
His range of passing has always been brilliant. You'll remember it, James, but a goal that Delhi scored against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup a couple of years ago.
As if I'm going to forget that. I mean, A, it's against Arsenal, and B, I was in the away end, mate. But go on.
Yeah, I mean, but that pass, and he's always had that kind of pass in him. I think now he's dropping back deeper. It's almost he's got more scope to do that. And what I've noticed is he's spraying out balls to Sonny, to Bergwijn, etc. But then he's just following up by getting into the box and benefiting from the chaos that those players cause and waiting for a pass back to him to put it in. So it's amazing that he's being more creative, sitting deeper, but just getting just as many chances to score and scoring just as many goals. I mean, Jack said about that sliding tackle. I think it was at the end of the first half.
Yeah,
it's not just that. I mean, he's always been one to be in the box and make a defensive header. But at the weekend and before that, he's been filling in at fullback as well. He's been covering other defensive players. He is literally a box-to-box midfielder. He's everywhere. He's raised his game. I don't know how much of it is his own personal progression, how much of it is Mourinho's coaching. I can't tell you what it is, but he's just on another level this season. I've never seen him like this before.
Is this the best ever?
It's the best I've ever seen him. As an all-round player, maybe not necessarily as a goal scorer. You know, he might not get 30 goals this season like he has done before. But as an all-round player, this is the best he's ever been. And we've been told for 2 years that he's on the decline. No chance. He's just getting better and better every single game.
Sorry, Jack, you had a question. What was it, mate?
So, but what do you do though? Because if you see him going in the box late, and you're thinking, I'm keeping an eye out for him. If you're keeping an eye out for Kane, Son walks past you and bangs one in the bottom corner. So because Son's firing on all cylinders, you just can't.
We know.
that's what we've been doing so well this season. It's we've almost been creating panic by numbers, and it's the quality of the people as well. If Kane's not in the box, it's Son. If Son's not in the box, it's Bergwijn. If it's not Bergwijn, it's Moura. It's now going to be Bale and Ndombele's on the edge of the box. You know, everybody is finding space and finding chances. Lo Celso, Lamela, even when these players come in and play a bit of a small part, they're still there creating havoc. It's offensively, it's beautiful to watch. We're a little bit creaky at the back, but as what Mourinho has been doing on the training ground offensively is fantastic, and I don't know how much of it's down to Kane, like I said, or how much Mourinho's coaching, but Kane is just reaching another level again.
If I can add my 2 pennies, because I can feel a few people in my ears going, James won't say it. Mourinho deserves massive credit for some of the attacking things that we're seeing at the moment. Genuinely, I think it's one of the main reasons we talked about Dele Alli a lot in pre-season, Ricky. It's that moving the ball between lines quickly that Dele doesn't do, which means that he's out the team at the moment. Yep. Because the way we counter is with such ruthlessness and pace at the moment that Dele just slows it down.
Yeah.
And until he learns to do it, he's not going to get a look in. And Tanguy's the more progressive player at the moment. What do you make of Tanguy at the moment? Because he's starting to get a place in the team. You're right, Eric.
I've just made a mess all over myself. we spoke about we
ain't even
we
talked
spoke
about Gareth Bale
Tanguy
yet, you
last
idiot.
year. Mate, I'm a machine. Don't worry. We spoke about Tanguy last year, and we knew the player that was in there that wasn't coming out. It's coming out. He's once again. I'm giving Mourinho a lot of credit for this, for the way he's handled him. Obviously, we saw what he did against United. He absolutely run things, and he did the same against West Ham. He's just running that midfield. He's bossing it. We are such a better team with him in the side, and I don't think it's. And I'm not. This isn't a slight on Winksy, but it's no coincidence that we lost 3 goals after Ndombele went off. It's no coincidence at all.
Mate, listen, I'm not going to blame Mourinho for the substitutions on Sunday, mate, because there's no way you could have seen that coming. The system was different. I agree. The link between midfield Ndombele and Kane completely went when Ndombele went off. Obviously, Winks basically went and Højbjerg and Sissoko played the same position, and Winks went and played behind them. Essentially, it was to see out the game. I don't think Winks should put the third goal. He should put it into Rose Ed, but otherwise, there were things that happened in that game that were almost unexplainable, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm not going to blame Mourinho either. I don't know how tired Ndombele was, but he didn't look as tired as Højbjerg and Sissoko did. I'd have taken one of them off if he wanted to make a change. But look, I'm not Mourinho, so he's a better manager than I'll ever be. But yeah, Ndombele is going to be the player that we miss massively when he's not in the side. He is, as you say, he's that link right in the middle of the park between everything, knitting it all together. He is turning out to be the player we all thought he was going to be last season. He just arrived a year late.
How do we, Ricky, and this is something I haven't spoken about on the podcast yet, how do we get him and Lo Celso into the same team?
By pissing off somebody else.
That's one too many, isn't it? If you play the front three ahead of them two, and with the fullbacks the way they're now playing.
Yeah, it probably is. Look, that's why Mourinho's paid the big bucks to figure that one out, I guess. I mean, that him and Lo Celso and Ndombele in the middle of the park is the ideal. But who'd you get rid of? We've gone from having a wafer-thin squad almost overnight and without anybody noticing it to having more players what we can handle. I don't know how it's quite happened, but there's too many. There's too many players.
There's a case for that.
There's what, sorry?
There's a case for that, absolutely. I mean, you could list a Tottenham second 11 that right now would probably quite comfortably finish mid-table in the Premier League.
We borrow some. If you've got too many, we'll have some.
To be honest, Jack, the way it's going, you might well be. You remember taking George, Kevin and Kudu off us, mate?
Oh, God.
There you go, right? So if you want some, we can probably find you some, mate.
We'd take some off you and still play him on the bench, though, wouldn't we? In Dash.
If it was a winning team the game before, yeah, he wouldn't get a look in. Oh, Jesus.
I don't know the answer, James. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, go on. No, neither do I yet. I think the solution is, with respect to a club like Burnley, that the fact that their midfield four are deeper than a certain midfield fours, for example, you probably could play the two of them in front of Højbjerg and still play the front three, and you just push the game higher up the pitch. The issue with that will be is when they want to go more direct. And it's not to label you with the tag, Jack, but we've spoken about this. Pope will go long and then it's second balls and play from there, right? And then suddenly that becomes a problem. And you think, I do need the cover there of a Sissoko or an extra one. So, but it's nice to be blessed, Ricky, actually, to be in that position, to think the team that we took to Leipzig in the Champions League last 16, only in February, and thinking that I can't even recognise this team. I don't know how many of the players played that night that played on Sunday, but it can't be more than 3 or 4.
Wouldn't have thought so. One of them's the Hugo.
Yeah, exactly. So you're absolutely right about the depth. That's a good thing. Should that make FPL managers concerned? It obviously doesn't with Harry and Sonny, but should it for Gareth Bale, for people who want to buy him?
Look, Gareth Bale is always going to be quality. He's always going to, if he's fit, he's going to play. Not necessarily start, but he's going to get minutes every single week. He didn't do too badly at the weekend. I thought he chased the game a lot. He didn't ever seem in the game. His timing was a little bit off. His passing wasn't exactly on point. But he hasn't played. He needs minutes. I don't think he's a guaranteed starter because Mourinho will like to move things around. But he's got to play more than he doesn't. Me personally, I'm not rushing him. I'm not gonna. I mean, fair play to you. I saw you got him straight away. I'm not gonna rush in straight. I've got Sonny. I'm happy with that for now. I've still got Dyer as well. That hasn't really worked out for me, has it?
All right, well, Davis. Moving on.
Yeah,
it's gone well over your head, Ricky.
Yeah, no, that one has actually.
Has Bale
oh no, that was the talk at the start of the season, wasn't it?
Come on, keep up, Princess.
Yeah, sorry. It's late. I think as assets, unless it's Sonny or Harry, yeah, be worried because no one is guaranteed a start in that side. Not even Gareth Bale.
Have you got any of them, Jack, in your FPL team?
I got Son. I did have Dyer to start off with. My plan was to get Kane in either just before or after the international break, so like you run of fixtures. But I watched him for England, and it was they were saying like he's not that fit. And then he comes on, obviously has his
then Sunday, yeah, I get you.
So what happened with that? Because
I think that was more Southgate style, to be fair.
He made out he wasn't fit.
No, Ricky's absolutely, he had a tight hamstring. Spurs were having a moan about him playing. And listen, there was no point in playing in them games, was there? So it was no point in playing against Wales, at least. He was obviously sub against Belgium.
Yeah.
And then obviously played the game against Denmark. You have to remember we had all them ropey league games and Kane played in all of them in some part and stuff. Son also had his dodgy tight hamstring before Manchester United, didn't he?
Yeah, I took him out for that. I had him in from the start because I'd had visions he was going to have a good season. Then took him out and then he obviously started, didn't he?
And then you bought him in game week 3?
Yeah.
Did you have his game week 4 points?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, against United?
No, I think I missed out on the United ones. I think that was the week I took him out.
But you had Southampton?
Yeah.
In game week 2?
Yeah.
Any intention to add Harry Kane now?
I can't remember your run of fixtures, but if you've got a good 2 and then you've got a real tricky patch.
Yeah.
So I just think with Son and Kane, it might be a bit too much. Whereas going someone like Havertz just would give you a little bit more room with the money to put it somewhere else. Whereas if Kane and Son, at the minute, it's looking great. But like you said, if you hit this tricky run of fixtures, it could be a little bit.
Have you got Mo Salah out of interest, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah. There seems to be a lot of influence in that at the moment. Have you got Mo Salah as well, Ricky?
Yeah, I got him this week as a De Bruyne replacement.
It feels like it's building to that again. Like we're back in a place we were in 3 years ago, where it's quite nostalgic and nice. Actually, it feels where people go, "Oh, Kane versus Salah." It almost feels a little bit nostalgic. It's weird that Harry Kane's going into an away game and people are suddenly talking about possibly being best captaincy option again. But I think there's a lot of that. I think a lot of people have got Salah and not going Kane.
Yeah,
and those who have got Kane seem to not be going Salah at the moment.
With it being Son as well, I'm not too worried because at the minute it's every time that one of them returns, it's at the pleasure of the other one, because Kane's setting up Son or Son's setting up Kane. So I'm not sort of too worried about that.
Well, that's the way I'm looking at it, Jack. I've got both. So every time they score, it's like at least 7 FPL points, mate, because the other one's assisting them as it seems to be going at the moment. Would you be captain Salah at the weekend then?
Who've Liverpool got?
Liverpool are Sheffield United at home.
Yeah, I think I've got him down as captain.
Is that your plan as well, Ricky?
Yep, absolutely. That's part of the reason why he was my De Bruyne replacement. I looked ahead and thought I'm going to want to captain him in about 3 of the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think the majority of people will go Mo Salah this week. I think those with both will probably lean Mo Salah, but recency bias does tend to bite people. I discussed, Jack, on Monday's pod about the idea of 5 teams kind of being grouped at the moment in terms of struggling offensively. And I grouped you in as one of those 5 with Sheffield United, Palace, West Brom and Fulham. Is that fair at the moment or is that harsh?
I'd say so, because when you're saying about them 5, I don't think, Mitrovic has had his time. Some of them other clubs have had strikers, but they've had their moments. We've not shown too much this season that we've had that much offensively. You could argue that, Dwight McNeil's been quiet. He had a better game on Monday, but we've not had anything going down the other wing. So it doesn't take, when you talk about all Spurs' attacking options, you just know that anything coming through our midfield is coming through McNeil, and it has been for the past 2 seasons. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work that out. So I think there's been an element of McNeil's been marked out of games. Ashley Barnes still isn't match fit. He's fit enough to play 90 minutes, but he still doesn't look as sharp as what he has been doing. He's been getting quite a bit of grief from fans. So yeah, I think once you get minutes under these strikers, and McNeil's coming more into his own, it won't be too long. But yeah, I'd agree with that we've not looked very good going forward.
One of the really interesting things about the game Monday, I think, and it kind of relates to if Bale will or won't play, is obviously that strength we've spoken about before, Jack, that you have on the left side, because Charlie Taylor's obviously part of that as well. His delivery's very good more often than not. And the interesting facet to it is obviously if Bale plays and he plays on the right, does Mourinho want Bale to go with Taylor? I would suggest from what I'm seeing from Heung-Min Son at the moment, the answer to that would probably be no. In which case, what does Taylor do? Does Taylor sit and think, I don't want to leave that in behind me? Or does he go and support McNeil thinking you can get the double up on Ori or Doherty, whoever plays there?
I think I noticed it on Monday as well. You was watching, whenever Taylor went forward, you're going, where's McNeil? Whereas on a normal game against West Brom, they'd be running alongside each other, or they'd be of course following. I think we was a little bit too naive. I think West Brom were there for the taking. But having said that, they had the chances and it could have gone either way. Charlie Taylor's quite good at carrying the ball. And he's fast enough, but he's strong enough so he can carry the ball and still not be too bothered about. He doesn't have to. Whereas you see Trent and Alexander-Arnold and Robertson will hang up there. Taylor will go with it and quite happily come back. But I think you're right. I think if Taylor's bombing forward, McNeil will be looking over his shoulder and thinking, I've got Gareth Bale behind me here. I'm gonna sort of keep an eye out. And the problem with us has been, we get our goals through a lot of other teams pressing for goals. So if it's 0-0 at half time, which is quite statistically what Dyche likes to do, if it's 0-0 against Spurs, you'll come out and play, and Dyche will know that Chris Wood will get one chance in that second half. So if he takes it, we go 1-0 up. That's what we build on.
Me and Ricky know Chris Wood will get at least one chance on Monday night, mate. I don't doubt whoever plays with him will get at least one chance as well, by the way, because we can't help it, can we, Ricky?
No, we can't.
Why is it? Is it a collective or individual?
Well, possibly both. I mean, I think Dyer is a miss. Not that we've kept many clean sheets when he's been in the side, but he is a miss because he is the leader at the back. David has got a mistake in him every single game, at least one. We all know what Aurier can be. He can play like he did against United, or he can just be an absolute headless.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Reguilon's still finding his feet. Reguilon still finding his feet. I wouldn't be surprised if Mourinho played Davis at the weekend. Just
I agree with that.
Bit more stability. I think we need that. And it'll probably stick with Aurier because of his recovery. But I wouldn't be surprised if he plays a more cautious backline, because we are making. Well, you know what, right? When you look at our goals conceded, it's not that bad. We've conceded. What I mean is, we've conceded 8 goals, yeah, but 3 of those have been penalties. One's an own goal. One was an absolute worldie, and the others, a couple against West Ham, are set pieces.
All from set pieces.
Yeah. So it's from open play.
Because Burnley are so shit at set pieces, aren't they?
Yeah, that's a bit of a worry. From open play, we're doing all right. It's set plays and penalties that we're giving away.
I think Dyer hopefully will be available, will be massive, because he's a talk about there. Toby Alderweireld's a player that I love, but he's never been a talker. I don't know why. He just doesn't
looks like a talker.
Big, strong, tattooed geezer, and he
looks like he should be though, doesn't he? But he just isn't.
He never see him barking orders at anybody or anything. He just does, for whatever reason, doesn't come naturally to him. Positionally, he's exceptional. It's no coincidence that the 3 goals on Sunday, I can't see Alderweireld in the picture anyway. It's not his fault. But he's got a problem on the turn of pace now as well. Now, to be fair, against you, I'd be quite happy for Alderweireld and Dyer to play together personally. I would think we don't need that pace in behind that we've had to use with Davinson Sanchez at the moment. On Aurier, Ricky, I was quite loud in saying after his performance at Manchester United, he deserved to play against West Ham. Right, put a cross through that, get him back out the team, put Doherty back in now. And I think Davis at left back for this particular fixture might be a sensible call as well. Because Reguilón's getting caught out at the moment, but he'll learn. He's adventurous. He's a good player.
Oh, he's a brilliant player. I'm excited every time he gets the ball, but he had a little mistake against West Ham that cost us a goal, I think. But it's a new league. He's second game in a new league. He's
He
still
looks
learning.
really good.
Yeah,
He does look good.
All right, I think we'll park it there, lads. Thank you very much. Let's do predictions before we go. Jack, home team, over to you.
I reckon we'll score, but I still think it'll be too much. So I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs.
He's gone honest, Ricky.
3-1 is what I had in my mind as well.
I'll be delighted if that's the score. Fuck it, I'll go the same. 3-1. 3-1.
We haven't a tenner on it.
3-1 or 2-1?
I was going to say 2, but I went for 3, just because I'm being pessimistic at the minute.
I would like the idea that Tottenham will keep a clean sheet on Monday night. I just know that Chris will have a chance, and even more so if I take him out in the FPL team as well. I can see that happening.
Yeah, will you take him out, please?
Do you know what, Jack? I might just do it because I can't bear the tweets every week. Where's Dominic Calvert-Lewin? So I might just have to get him in anyway. Guys, really good fun. Very best of luck for the weekend and for Monday night. Obviously, particularly to you, Ricky. But Jack, very much hope you start getting results, starting with Chelsea in game week 7. Next week's Clash of the Correspondent, guys, is Newcastle versus Everton with FPL Footballer and Spirit_Blues. Obviously, Everton are flying. FPL Footballer, Jack, described Hendrick and Joel Linton playing in the same Newcastle team as an abomination at the weekend. So I'm going to be asking him about your former Burnley player, amongst other things, next week. My Ask James stream will be earlier than normal tomorrow morning. It'll probably be about 9 o'clock. It'll be shorter than normal. I'll have my deadline stream at 5:30 on YouTube in time for the deadline. Other than that, thank you very much, Jack and Ricky. Best of luck. Ciao for now. What do I normally do? How do I finish this, Ricky?
Come on, you Spurs!
No, cue music, please, man. Shut up.